crop protection wise, with this field we didn't use any herbicide, but one issue with small grains in Iowa and in humid climates, you can have some disease problems. And since we were really concerned about seed quality, whether we're going to be using it for feed or for cover crop seed or whatever our end use might be, making sure you have a healthy seed, that you don't have fusarium or other fungal diseases in that head. So we did use a fungicide to control leaf or late leaf and head diseases on that wheat plant.
We ended up with major disease issues one year. We got hit real hard with fusarium, which then the fusarium affects the germination of that grain later. So we ended up with really low germ seed from it. And that was because we didn't spray any fungicide, because why would you do anything? Why would you spend any money on this small grain crop? You just throw it out there and it grows. It does grow, but not well. You don't do that with corn, you don't do that with beans, so we shouldn't be doing that if we're going to grow stuff for seed.
This last summer we did a fungicide and growth regulator test for practical farmers, and it was a bad year to do a fungicide trial this year because it was a good year for small grains. We had a warm, dry June, and it just wasn't conducive to grow into the inoculum to start the fungus growing in the different diseases. So last year was just the opposite. There was a lot of head scab and fusarium in the rye and wheat. I do some custom wheat for harvest for some guys, and it's similar to the rye and disease-wise, and it's a small grain grass crop, and it was all healthy this year, and that helped with the standability and the yield on all of it. So a lot depends on Mother Nature. She's got the upper hand on us no matter what we're trying to grow.
We're scouting for those diseases to see if they're present, or see if we're reaching threshold, and see what our environmental indicators are that might increase the prevalence of that disease if it is present in the field already. And then that allows us to make a good decision of whether we need to use those products or not.
We'll spray fungicide in, usually early June, right about flowering. We want to spray a fungicide at flowering so that we can control that fusarium. And it has to be when the plant is actively flowering. So the rye that I've got now is a much more uniform variety of rye as opposed to just doing a VNS. So that helps with the fungicide application timing.
We're fortunate in Iowa that we have a number of states around us that have really good information on wheat and other small grain production still. Unfortunately, some of the information in Iowa has kind of fallen behind. I know that's being worked on, but we've got some other states we can rely on for that information. South Dakota State, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Illinois, Nebraska, all have some really good information for us as far as small grains production, particularly on the disease side. North Dakota does as well. There's a number of disease tracking programs where they track the development of different fungal diseases throughout wheat and small grains production areas. And so being able to look at those is valuable.
So what agronomists and breeders in the Midwest have been able to do is to calculate when growers are going to start seeing scab, fusarium, on their plants based on determining relative humidity and growing degree days.
If you look at a fungicide label, it'll tell you at what stage of the plant to apply the fungicide to get the maximum benefit from it. So it's important to kind of understand your different stages of the plant and get it on at the right time, because if you're gonna spray it on and it's too early or too late, well, it's not gonna do you maximum benefit. So, but that's something that I've done more research on and studied more, and that's just part of it. If you're going to grow, it's no different than growing corn. You got to know your V stages at the corn, to put the different chemicals on, and that stuff is all on the herbicide labels, and that's why they got the labels to tell you when the proper time to apply it is to get the maximum benefit. So.